Let's put Twitch back so they play.
And remember to have it on your computer so you could.
So I can answer the questions. The questions. The question. I gotta turn it. Oh, look. You're back. Headphones are on the shelf over there, right?
What? Yeah.
Headphones are on that shelf over there?
Correct. Hey, we have a viewer. Yeah, so this is the behind the scenes. We're setting up the studio. We're going to be starting the I Don't Make This Stuff Up podcast soon. We like people to see what it takes to set it up as we go through the motions. Today's show, the reason we questions. That's right. The reason we do the behind the scenes and the live while we record the show is because this gives us a chance to allow our audience to ask us questions during the actual production of the show. So once we set up and we get the show started, even beforehand, if you have questions about the subject matter, please ask in the chat room. The chat room is asking, what are your thoughts on the subject of who's responsible for bringing an audience to a venue? Anyway, while that's going on, I'm going to walk my dog. Mr. JD McGibney is going to continue to set up the stage. As one might say, please feel free to ask some questions as we set up.
I'm here to answer any of the questions, and also dance and do a jig.
Dance and do the jig, 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 jig. Dance and do the
The jig
jig.
is up. Oh, I need things. It's gotta be down
Oh my God.
there. When did you get here?
No, go the other way.
He's like, Dad, I'm gonna go this way.
Stay.
Here.
One more.
Hey, Dad. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Whose responsibility? Go. Doing the thing.
Doing the thing. Doing the thing.
Today is 9/6.
9/6.
BBR Podcast 09/06/2020. Woo. And we're hanging out. We're gonna turn off no effects. No effects. Wait effect. Now change our preferences to thing. Changed. The change. They are changed. Right. Now, hello. We get the cables. The cables. The cables. There we go. Setting up the cables. We need cables? Oh, yeah. Hey guys, this is a small better studio. Where do you see the bulk of your revenue generated from? Well, this bulk of the revenue is. Hopefully that was microphone. Let's see, Thomas gets the fancy mic. Ooh. that we got everything plugged in, we are gonna see that all the presets are, set. Let's take a look. Or listen, I should say. We gotta set it up so that you are 1, you are 2. On monitor. Hello. 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 Can you hear me now? Okay. Now I'm hearing myself. That's what I did. I'm hearing myself talk. Here I am talking. Talking into the microphone. Here I am. Talking into the microphone. Here I am. Talking into the microphone. Now, basically, I'm just talking into the microphone and getting the level set, so this way I can get as much out of it without peaking and making it all staticky and gross. So I think I'm good. And Thomas's microphone is set to phantom power because he needs a little extra boost with the microphone. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, this stinks. Microphone. I'm talking into the microphone. Talk. T-A-W-K, because I'm from New York, right? Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. That should be good, I think. I think that's good, right? Yeah. Yeah, everybody. That's a good sound check. So, duck walks into a hardware store. That's good. This duck totally walks into a hardware store. Oops. I got a hook on the thing, and there's more stuff coming out the headphones. I can hear myself. Good. That should be good. Put Thomas over there. Put me over here. Good. We gotta do multi-track recording because we can record both of us at the same time. Woo. That's pretty cool. All right, so that's good. That's good. Let's label this. This is JD Mike. This is Thomas Mike. And no, Mike is not our middle name. It is signifying, the microphone. Let's bring up the Twitch on my computer so I can interact with the Twitch. Oh, we actually have Twitch going on. Woohoo! Howdy! Just loading up the Twitch on the computer so I don't have to get up and squint to read the tiny little screen. For anyone that just jumped in, Thomas is going to be here in a bit, but he is currently walking the dog because he had to go and do his doggy business. That guy's bad. We don't want him to talk. Let's see. Go to our channel. Ooh. The Twitch channel. Oh, look, there I am, right there. Hanging out. Welcome to the chat room. Oh, it's so weird to look at myself. It's like the legs. Oh, here comes the dog.
Horrible.
Everything should be set up. I didn't check your headphones though.
What?
So still check your headphones again and everything.
You didn't check my headphones.
No, but your mic's set up.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Oiso.
Okay, go inside. Go inside. That's inside of that. What do we got? What's going on? Who? Oh, we got some questions. Did you answer this question or? Oh.
I gave was it that the revenue source?
Yeah.
I just gave a quick thing saying,
Oh.
I basically diversify. Don't rely on one source of income.
Oh, yeah. Where do you see the bulk of your revenue generated from? I think they're talking about as a company.
All right, well.
So to answer your question, BBR Productions is a small production studio. I would say that's true. That's accurate. Where do you seek the bulk of your revenue? Well, we consult, market, and develop. And the reason we consult, market, and develop is because the more departments you have, you can still maintain quality with. Now we're working on several scripts that we were hired to consult. And it really depends. Additionally, though, we have other avenues of resources. So, for example, YouTube, Twitch, affiliate links. We diversify our income, so we invest in stocks, bonds, and mutual fund. The idea is you're also letting your company, allow your company to do business. So over the next, I would say 5 years, our company's going to start investing into real estate, other businesses, and IOUs, which means we're going to invest in other people's projects, to help them grow. More like a studio would. We're going to become a studio, things like that. So, as my partner said, you should diversify. Hey, puppy, you got that? Diversifying is important. If you allow your main revenue to come in through one source, you will find yourself not making.
BBR mugs, or I don't make this stuff up mugs.
We're gonna get them. Don't worry. We're gonna get them.
I'm not worried. I'm just saying. It's a necessitoire.
You definitely need it. Make the dog's face again.
Where's
Gross.
your drool pal? Ugh, dog.
My name is Cereal, and I drool.
Definitely drool.
People stop in. They stop in. Dummies. Yes. How are you, dummies? I'm good. How are you? Oh. Let's see what the purpose of this all is. All right. JD, can you sit in my chair, please?
I can't sit. Sit in your chair, please.
Sit in my please sit in my chair.
Hello, my name is Tomás. Hola, ¿qué pasa? ¿Dónde está?
All right, go sit in your chair, buddy.
Oh no, the video skipped as.
Yeah, I know. We already took it.
Listen, I'm just reading.
What do we got?
Oh, please.
Jesus, JD.
My fault. Oh, it's that right underneath my feet.
Yeah, let's zoom this in a little bit.
Gotta do a little power mode so I don't kill all my batteries.
You don't kill your battery.
My batteries.
All right, this is so you can see your stuff.
All right, battery. Low power mode. And now we go to the live to the 5G book.
Oh, this is the hardest part. Jesus. I should
Please do that.
bleach it and make it white blonde, but have a fake one. I think that would actually. What do you think? Cut all this off?
You have to be very careful to make sure that no one actually touches you.
Yeah. Should I cut this off though? And then. Ow. I think I should. You know how easy showers would be. I'd be in and out. Oh God. Ooh. Oh. Hey. All right, there we go. It's good enough for me. Whatever. Then I gotta put it up.
Behind the mix scenes.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Looks like my hair is officially.
Unless you got buns up.
I don't. We'll wait for this mower to go. Jesus. Mowing the lawn outside. Today. The whole day.
Yeah, it never happens. This late too.
Hello? Oh, hey, Lou.
So
What's
we're
going on here? Somebody put my mic in.
Oh, sorry.
Remember, it's either this side or this side.
I thought I did that.
It has to be facing like that. Oh, you hear how nice that is? You don't hear it. You can't have the thing on.
Oh, I had it on my headphones already.
Who's your person? Today we have my Diet Pepsi. The Diet Cherry Pepsi is my favorite. Not that we're looking for Pepsi to sponsor us, but they should. Just saying. Are you recording?
We are not recording yet. Starting live video. Hello, Facebook land.
That? Oh my god. Hold on, everyone.
Doug.
The scene is a little. What are you checking out the people?
Like that.
I'll be honest, that's gross. All right, let's.
Also, I have a feeling.
Please don't give it to me. What are you doing? There's no way that's the first time I've had soda.
I have a feeling that what's going on is with the
what?
Phantom Power.
I don't know if that's true. All right, well that's gonna be exciting.
Well, let's just close the blinds. You can't see.
Yeah, but you need them open so the light is blaring through.
Not while the dog is.
Well, also at the same exact time, having all the lights on. Hey, welcome to behind the scenes of I Don't Make This Stuff Up. Today we're going to go over some facts about who's responsible for bringing an audience to a venue and how to run an event. So if you yourself want to run that event. All right, let's do this.
I was an event once.
You're still an event.
You know what? I'll take that as a compliment.
I'll take it as a compliment. Thanks, dog. I really.
Listen, he has to get his screen time. It's part of his contract, and he is part of it.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you get up and adjust the camera?
Yes.
Totally messed up.
Which way is it gonna go?
It's gonna go more towards you a little bit. Yeah. Oh, too much. Back the other way. Too much. Back the other way.
That way.
Yeah. Too much. Keep going. There you go. Perfect. All right.
Good.
Excellent. You know what? It looks like you've been doing this your whole life.
Thank you. That's why we're a team, buddy.
Look, sometimes you have to lie to your friends and make them feel better because you want to encourage them. Oh, JD! I didn't know you were back.
But you're sitting down. You're not lying.
I don't lie because my back.
It's
All
true.
right,
He's
what
sitting
are
in the chair.
Listen, today I'm wearing red shorts, but they're not jorts. So I'm good. All right, we're checking the connection. What's going on?
Ooh.
I don't know about you, but I think our internet sucks, and I'll tell you why.
It's because it never works.
Do you know why though?
I don't know why. It's because you're cursed.
Oh, we're on. I think we're live.
We're live?
Are we? We're not live.
I don't know.
You know why our internet sucks?
It's because of the dog.
No, it's because we're using that damn. What is it, Spectre? Spectre is terrible. What is that noise? It's not. It's definitely not Phantom. It's not the Phantom.
Well,
Can you see if that pops up on the audio? Because if it doesn't, then I don't care about it. But let's see if it actually pops up on the audio. We haven't really started yet. Ooh.
It does. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because when I turn the Phantom on, it's.
You're gonna set it popping up on the audio.
That's okay.
All right.
That's operation this week.
It is.
We're gonna have to do some research.
Are we actually gonna call it Operation this week?
Yeah, operation.
All right, let's record for it.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
And here we go.
You are now live.
Woo!
Welcome live. Instagram over here for I Don't Make This Stuff Up. The show's about to start in 2 seconds. Today we're going to talk about what are we talking about? Oh, whose responsibility is it to bring an audience to a venue? And we're also going to talk about how to run an event, how to create your own events, and stop complaining that venues aren't around or closing or that they're the reason you're not making money. So we're going to talk about it. I love that noise.
Me too.
What is that? I don't know what it is.
It's not that you touch the thing, maybe you have magical.
I do have magic hands, ladies. No. Take one. What a rotten Canadian trip. Steve Martin says, I read it back to front and was surprised by the shocking beginning. I think that's hysterical. That's why I want Steve Martin. This book is life, like Marty's life. It's a nutty, marvelous affair. Oh, that's exciting. What else? Larry David says, what a wonderful book. If only it was about someone else. Yeah, that's fun. And Amy Poehler says, Martin Short is a comedy superhero, and this book is a peak. inside his fortress of solitude. That's a play on words. Okay. Anyway, this book. I'm going to definitely read this book, and then we're going to have a discussion about it on the show. I must say. And by read it, I mean I'm going to have JD read it and take notes. And then I'm going to say I read it, he didn't. And then we're going to basically.
I don't have a notebook.
It doesn't have a notebook.
I'm going to take a note. I don't got a notebook.
What doesn't have a notebook? I don't know what is it. He needs a notebook. Anyway, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Diet Cherry Pepsi. Pepsi, you should sponsor us. Look at this. Pepsi. Slowly but surely making me feel happy. All right, JD, come here. Entertain the audience. I'm going to find it.
No, I found it. You have to plug into the head. You gotta unplug it.
You found it?
Yeah.
Where was it?
I was plugging my head, so it had it hooked up BBR and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, it's alright.
You all right? Is the dog okay? That's all that matters.
Yeah. Unplug.
Oh. I still kind of hear it, actually. I can't hear my mic. I hear it now. I'm hearing it still.
Really? Then it might be that input on the.
It has to be up here.
Oh. It's over here. It's gotta be the channel. Hello?
Hello? How's it going? Hey. Microsoft.
Microsoft and
Microsoft. What's happening? Is it working?
I mean, find out.
I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
This is annoying. It's
Alright.
extremely annoying. I just want to put that.
Alright, we're recording. Take 42. That's that.
Oh, Jesus.
Listen.
I love that you do it. It's my, something's definitely going on. Can we try, I want to try something. Can we switch these?
Yeah.
Just take yours out and just put mine in there. Let's just see if that creates the sound. Hey, what's going on? Any chance you could answer my above question again? Every time someone answers it, the cruel internet gods screw up the stream. Wait, don't put yours in here. One second. Yeah, we can answer it. Give me a second. Hello? Hello? Oh, that's actually something really good. Hello? Hello? Hey. Yeah, that sounds good.
Hello.
How's that sound? That sounds amazing. Yeah, of course it's speaking. Hello. I love that. That's nice. I'm going to leave that.
Hello.
Hey. All right. So, Jack, to answer your question as I did earlier, basically how to create diversity, revenue, generate diverse revenue. Where do you see the bulk of your revenue generated from? Well, we're consulting, marketing, and development. Jack, to answer your question, we diversify everything we do anyway. Testicles. We diversify everything we do, but ultimately we get the bulk of our stuff from consulting and marketing. So the consulting is we work on other projects or we consult individual items. It's like anyway. So that's really how we ultimately diversify. But we get the bulk of our revenue from consulting on projects, and then obviously we make the second most money is on projects that we do for ourselves. Look, we're gonna have to just figure this out another time. Let's get the show going.
All right, we are recording on both. You're welcome.
Do you have Twitch up? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's people talking on Twitch.
I know.
What are they saying?
We need to get a clipboard.
For what?
For me to take notes, I'm guessing.
Oh.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Clipboards. You need clipboards.
All right.
Anyway, moving forward. Today's episode is ultimately about. Yeah, it's definitely not my mic. Because I still hear it when I do that. Now it's on it's this channel. It's this channel 2. Just leave your finger. I'll do this. I'll do it. No, I got it because I think I'm the one who's making. Anyway, today is we're going to talk about just recently I heard entertainers, musicians, comedians, actors alike, talking about venues closing and that venues were falling apart way before COVID because venues are just forcing crappy performers to do shows at their events. And it's always been, it's always about the venue's responsibility, and it's not. We're going to talk about whose responsibility is it to bring an audience to a venue, and what is your responsibility as a performer, and what's your responsibility as a venue owner? Now, we're also going to talk about how to ultimately run an event if you yourself would like to run an event, so you can bypass the venues. Because even though a bunch of them are closing down, like Revolutionary Bar in Long Island and things like that, I mean, CBGB's closed down way before COVID, and there was a great reason for that. The rent went way up. Literally, if you read that story, it had nothing to do with the quote-unquote crappy shows. The rent was skyrocketed because the person wanted to get rid of CBGBs, and they couldn't afford the rent anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't keeping up with inflation, so they couldn't adjust everything.
It wasn't even inflation.
I'm saying it wasn't because of inflation.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't, adjust, naturally. They were just like, oh, well, we can't afford that.
Yeah, we can't afford that because their contract was up, and also, it had nothing to do with the shows there. Like, oh, it was a bitch. No, CBGB's was fine up until the rent was literally tripled, or whatever it was. You got to look into that story, but ultimately it was because the landlord changed the rent. I have no idea. So, oh wait, it's not my one. But I don't make this stuff up, and we're going to go over really why I don't make this stuff up. First of all, I owned a venue for 3 years. Second, I and JD have been in our own bands, doing it correctly and incorrectly for many, many years before we learned how to do it professionally, which is two different things. So we're going to talk about it, but as always, I want to have JD start the show off with his experience as a band and his thoughts on before learning about the system and who I am and everything like that. I want you to let us know. I like that actually. That's better. Ooh, that's nice and tight.
Let me just double check you're not leaking.
Yeah.
Oh.
It might be.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll fix it. I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I can see it because if that light pops.
Yeah, but I can see it up here.
Do you have volume up on there or is it on zero? All right, that's my man. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, that's all I need. All right.
You sound beautiful.
Yeah, you are beautiful. All right, JD, we're on you right now. Listen.
I'm listening.
When you were in bands, right? What was your
technically I'm in several bands now. Before I met you bands.
Yeah, before you met me bands. What was the process for you? How did you feel? How did you feel about what was your mentality? Like, you go to a venue, how did you think audiences showed up? Like, what was your mentality with getting a show booked at a venue through a promoter or the club itself? Like, walk me through the process in your mind.
Initially, we decided, this is before I met you, a big chunk of the mentality was that, if we booked it, they would come, basically. But we also were like, oh, we book it at, a specific venue. We were like, oh, that venue has a natural draw. We'll just go there because people will just want to go to that venue.
So what you're saying is if your band wasn't playing at that club, people would just show up to the club anyway.
That was a misconception that we had.
All right. Now, how many shows have you booked at places and then showed up and no one was there?
A lot.
That's me. A total of 10 over 10 years. All right. Well, did you feel it was the venue's responsibility to bring an audience? Like, if they booked you, did you think to yourself, well, it's their job? I mean, don't they want to make money?
We basically thought it was a 50-50. So we were like, obviously we want to try and get people to go, and it was like, oh, we'll try and get more people to go.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to. But we also had...
Because of vanity.
Yeah, because of vanity. But we definitely thought it was part of their responsibility to book the show as well. And we also had the misconception that it was their responsibility to do the marketing.
And the advertisement. Now, did you think you deserved to get paid when you first started playing in bands and getting booked at venues?
Well, when I first started, I was a kid and I was like, oh, I don't need to get paid, which is another misconception because it was like, oh, I'll do this for fun, because I had the understanding, which I later learned was wrong, that
Oh my God!
Oh, my eyeballs.
All right, let's see if this does.
It definitely has changed.
There we go.
Oh. What was I saying? Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't really expect to get paid because I was like, oh, I'm doing this for fun. This is what you have to do. I didn't realize the fact that every time I stepped up on stage, I was working.
Yeah, but all right, let's say with that mentality, do you think you deserve to get paid to perform at a venue?
Now, looking back or back then?
Now,
Absolutely not, because who the hell was I?
exactly. And that's the problem that a lot of artists have in acting, writing, comedy, everything, is why should you be paid? And the reason people are paid is because a venue will pay a brand, which is whoever the product is, the brand, to have a draw. And they're paying a percentage of what they feel the draw will bring. Now, the reason somebody like Louis C.K. back in the day, or even Dane Cook would make the kind of money he made, is because they knew they were selling out the venue, and that's why they could pay him a percentage. Like Madonna doesn't get paid more than the venue makes when she plays the Coliseum. There's no way the Coliseum is giving her more than what the Coliseum can make. In fact, there's no way the Coliseum's giving them at least half of what they need to make to run that place.
No, not at all.
There's a certain overhead cost for a day. And if they feel the overhead cost is going to afford them the right to run that venue for that day, and then what is the percentage that they're going to make off the door, and then they figure out basically what they can afford to pay the brand. So if they were going to basically hire you as Angels on the Battlefield, right? Let me get some footage over here. Oh, hey, here we go. Chase your dreams. Let's say a venue was going to hire you to come in and be like Angels on the Battlefield, right? They always ask it, and you can ask anyone, what's your draw, right? They'll say that. And what did you used to tell them your draw was? The top one?
The top one's when I had my boxes and my underwear.
Yeah,
the boxes and my socks.
Yeah, well, no one needs to know that, except for the ladies.
Well,
by the way, ladies, he doesn't actually wear underwear. But go ahead.
Yeah, I go to Kilt Rap, I go Commando.
Anyway, going back. What would you? So, how many people are you going to bring to the show?
Oh, back in the day when we first started, we would brag about being able to bring like 20 to 50 people.
Holy crap!
That many people.
Now, did you have to work to get 20 to 50 people not to show up?
Not to show up? Oh yeah, no. We basically had to like beg all our friends and family. Like, oh my God, come to the show.
So you had no fan base, is what you're saying?
When we first started out, not at
It's
all.
coming back again. I don't think it's the phone. I don't know what it is. It's killing me.
I think there might be a problem in.
There has to be a run. Anyway, so that's right. That's correct. So a lot of what you're saying is correct. Like the bands or comedians would be like, I draw X amount of people, which is bull. Now, how do you know how much you draw? Well, you're supposed to be paying attention to this. What can you draw organically? Right? Now, obviously, there's a whole podcast we can do on how to build your fan base, and it has nothing to do with performance. A performance is the reward of you putting in the work to build your fan base. And shows do not return you a fan base. If that was the case, everyone would just be successful on shows. But that's not the case. And you can't say, well, I'm going to play a show in front of a headliner, because no one goes to the show until the headliner pops up. And even if they did show up, do you sound anything like the headliner? You're not even in the market. That's the other thing bands do, is they just put themselves in shows without understanding the marketing analysis.
That's something also I think is interesting to point out. Working and touring, hello everybody.
How are you?
Working and touring with touring bands, we basically would go to every show and whatnot, and like we'd have all these bands that would jump on like the local bands, like, oh yeah, if we open for this person, it'll be a big thing. Either a lot of people will be there, or we'll have a chance to like network and meet all these people. When in reality, it's like you said, no one really gets there until the tour package is there.
Yeah.
Because it's one, people already have a fan base for those bands, and people have been building up over months for the event that is going on in that city. And most of the time, they don't really advertise the local bands are going to be on there, because a lot of the time they don't actually finalize that until like the last minute. And then the bands that are the opening bands that are looking to like network with the the touring bands don't really have an opportunity to actually meet up and talk to those touring bands, because most of the time the touring bands are either sleeping in the van / bus, sleeping in the green room, out eating, doing something where they're not cooped up because they've just been cooped up in a van for 3 months. And they're like, I need to walk and have air.
I need to not be on stage.
So there's a lot of misconceptions that go into local bands opening up for touring national acts.
Yeah, but more importantly, you got to remember, the reason no one comes to see those opening bands is because they don't have an audience. So it doesn't matter if you're advertising. Imagine I saw a poster and it said, Flippy Flu, the Blue Cups playing.
I officially
and then it says,
band that's called Flippy Flu.
Let's make it happen. But then it says Metallica. I've never heard of Flippy Flu. It's the same reason when you go into a supermarket and you see Pepsi. If you see Pepsi and then you see the store brand, even though they're basically the same flavor, but Pepsi's better, right?
Look at Pepsi.
Oh, look at
How
Pepsi.
convenient.
Hey, look, Pepsi. You're gonna grab the product You're gonna grab what you have the emotional attachment to, which is the Pepsi, right? Not the store brand. Unless, of course, you're dead broke. But if you're dead broke, you're probably going to stay at home and drink the water, which means I'm going to stay home and not see this opening band that I've never heard of, Flippy Flu, the Blue Cup, right? And that's the main reason people don't really go early to see a show, because the majority of people who care about music, if they do go, the moment they hear your band play, they're not emotionally attached to it, so they don't care about it. They might hear something like, oh, that's a cool riff. But that's not going to make them go out and buy your album, especially if they go to your merch table to support you, and then they find out your CD is like $15 or $20, a shirt is $40, and they're like, who the hell are these people?
I can rather buy the headliner that I can't hear.
Yeah, I'm going to spend $50 on a Metallica hoodie, even though you can get the same hoodie for like $15 at a store. But that's besides the point. However, Jesus, it's so weird, right? I don't know what it is. I don't think it's the phone. I really don't think it's the phone, because now it's not happening now. Anyway, so as we're saying, basically, you would your band would go, hey, if we do these shows, people are going to show up. It's 50-50 the venue now, right? Believe it or not, as a venue, its job is ultimately to market the venue. That's its job. It has no responsibility to you whatsoever. If we talk about
any business,
like any business. How often do you see Walmart go out of the way to do commercials for other brands?
Very rarely.
Rarely. If they do a commercial that shows other brands,
it's featured in a Walmart commercial.
It's featured in a Walmart commercial, and they kind of, if anything, they're marketing the sale for that week. Or, hey, it's if they think in their head, it's Memorial Day weekend, and they'll show Memorial Day weekend stuff, right? But their whole purpose is to get people to come to Walmart after the Memorial Day weekend is over. They're just like a proper business, like you as an entertainer. If you're an entertainer, your job isn't to market the show you're doing. Your job is to make sure that people come to the next show, and the next show, and the next show. So Walmart's doing that. Just like when I owned the Rose Theater as a venue, people will be like, why aren't you marketing our show? I go, I market it. It's on the website. And we put some stuff on social media, but I'm not spending money on your one show. I'm going to spend money on advertising the Rose Theater so people know the theater exists. If they know the theater exists, then they go to the website. If they know the website exists, then they'll see what shows are happening. And then, of course, your show, which has zero brand value, and no one's ever heard of you as a first-time writer, which is fine, because that was the purpose of the theater, was to give first-time writers an opportunity. They're not going to come. But the moment we put on Hamlet or a known play, people show up in droves because they're like, I know that play.
Because Hamlet happens to have, the advantage of several hundreds of years of marketing.
Give or take. But the point is, that's the thing. Like, if you put Hamlet on the website of, say, the Rose Theater or whatever, people see Hamlet and they're like, I'm there. When bands or even actors or comedians think, I perform all the time, so people are going to go see me. No one's going to see you because you perform. That's the misconception. The truth of the matter is build your brand value, because then your brand value will reward you an audience. Because if enough people are interested in what you have to say as a brand, what is your values, your messages, they're going to support you and they're going to go out of their way to go to your shows. With that said, though, who do you feel the responsibility of filling a venue is?
Now,
Yeah, no.
it is the responsibility of the person running the show, the event.
I disagree.
Oh,
We just talked about it for, 20 minutes. I literally just told you who's responsible.
so it's 50-50.
It is not, that is, you're still an artist, my friend.
All right.
It's the artist's responsibility. It's the brand's responsibility.
So
I am going to hire you. Go ahead.
So the person whose show it is not the responsibility. That would not be the artist.
If I book you, it is not my responsibility to advertise your show.
Yeah, that's not. I was implying that it was the artist or the band.
Yeah, so
I
how's it
said-
50-50?
I did. I said that after you said my initial response, which was the person whose show it was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about it's the promoter's job.
Oh no! I just said that because I said the person whose show it was. This way, it could encompass bands, theater.
So it's the performer's responsibility.
Yes.
All right, well that makes more sense.
Yes.
So yes,
I apologize for not being clear in my initial statement.
listen, let's make him the host. Let's turn everything around. The tables have been turned. Yeah, correct. It's the performer's responsibility not to advertise that show. It's their responsibility to market their brand, to build awareness to their brand, to increase interest that would ultimately generate sales so people buy into their brand's message. If you focus on the shows you're doing, you're killing your rule of 10%. You're actually spending more money on marketing than you should be. Because every show you do, every time you market that show, you're killing your rule of 10% in marketing. You're making it harder. You have to push harder, to get more people to go to the next show and the next show.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Being that the giant misconception is that bands need to perform or an artist needs to perform or they need to do.
Well, an artist needs to perform, but they don't have to.
What I was saying was the misconception is that an artist needs to perform in order to build a brand. How is it you feel would be a good way to spread the knowledge that you have to focus on building a brand
Well,
properly?
first of all, people should do their research. They should go methodically. They play shows to make money. You should look at the process of what Metallica did to get to the point where they're allowed to do a show where they're playing Coliseums. You're not playing Coliseums when you're starting out. So, if you book yourself in a Coliseum, no one's going to show up. So why would they show up to the local club? Right? So that's how you have to think of it right away. And that's just using your entrepreneurial brain. If I booked a Coliseum, will people show up to that show? Will I make back my money? You're a business. If I book a Coliseum, there you go, just say it to yourself. If I book a Coliseum, will someone come to see my comedy show, my theater play, or my band do music, or will they come to see my movie that I made, right? Will I make my money back? No. So now I gotta shrink the venue. If I do a local, VMA hall, right? What does that cost? $800, $500 to rent?
It's a drastic change from Coliseum to BMA Hall.
Well, honestly, if you did the math, you'd be like, well, 13 people might show up, right? So, and you have to charge people like $1,000 at that point. And that's, by the way, that's how you figure out what do you charge for people to come to your show if you're putting on a show, even as a comedian. You have to say to yourself, how many people do I know will show up to that show? How much does the night cost? How much do I need to make it worth it? And that's the cost of your ticket. And if the ticket price is too high for what you feel you are deserving, then you have to shrink the venue again. And now you have to say, all right, well, then, and eventually you're going to find out that you should be performing, small, very small venues and charging nothing because you just want people to show up, right? When BBR Productions helps comedians or bands or even theater performers build like their rapport and their repertoire and stuff like that, what we used to do is just do free shows. And we'd sell out every free show. Why? Yeah, no one is spending any money other than just travel to come see somebody they never heard. But we didn't market we didn't market like a comedy show as an open mic, because it wasn't. It was a real show. We booked comedians we felt had at least mastered their 5 to 10 minutes. And we told the comedians, listen, you're going to get a tight 7. Now, why was it a tight 7? Because we knew they had a strong 10, or they had like a really good 5. And sometimes you throw in a couple of, ungood stuff in there, right? And we go, look, you're going to be lit at 5 minutes. That means you got 2 minutes to close it up. So don't go longer because you're going to be pulled off, right? And the other thing we're doing is we're teaching you to be professional, right? But anyway, we would film those shows and we go, look, boom, you had a full audience. They were laughing, they were interactive. No one in the audience was forced to buy a 2-drink minimum. Why was that? Because we made deals with venues that we didn't have to pay for the venue because we built relationships, networking. We built those relationships with people like, yeah, sure. Now, what was crazy is there was no drink minimum and people bought drinks. They bought appetizers. They bought, I'm hungry. But that's the reality. Like, our thing was like, we're not forcing our audience to spend money. And because of that, they didn't spend $20 on a ticket or $40 because there's 2 of them, it's a date. They didn't have to spend another $20 each. So that's another $40 on drinks. So they came there and they were more good. We didn't need to make money because our job was to help build audiences. Which is what we did. And we did it with bands too sometimes, especially like when we were starting out. We were like, why would we charge people to see us? We're not worth seeing. We're just starting out. And honestly, I hated asking friends and family to come because we weren't ready.
Never did they have to pay me in nickels?
This is JD's last show. And yes.
Harry.
I hate you. So anyway, I wish I had some wooden nickels to throw.
Allison.
Holy crap! But yeah, you don't deserve to get paid when you have no draw. If you have it's the same reason. Like if I wrote a book today, do I deserve to ask strangers to buy my book? No, I don't have the right to do that. Though I could present my book, and if a stranger sees it and they like my brand and they follow my website, my social media, and they love what I have to say, and they choose to buy the book, that's different. Now, there's going to be a certain level where if I just release the book, people will buy it, like Stephen King. He could write a crappy book, like book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, The Dark Tower, right? Okay. I'm going to write a really good first book and then just kill it in the second book.
I love those books. Yeah,
but the reason you were able to get through the second book and buy the third one and go, is because of the Stephen King brand. You were already bought into his brand, right?
Because I bought the book.
Absolutely. But that's your job as an entertainer in general, is like, how do I get people wanting to buy my stuff? And you can't show them your stuff and say, this is great, you should buy it. Because now you're giving them a yes or no. They're only going to buy your stuff if they buy into you as a human being and what your brand has to do with. At that point, you've earned the right to ask people to pay you. Hey, I own a venue. JD, I know your band has a huge draw because of the history of its draw. So I know 200 people are going to show up. That means I can ask you for at least half the value of that 200. That's my starting bid. As a venue, that's how I would do it. If I knew everyone's willing to spend $20 on a ticket, and that's $2,000, I can start my bidding at $1,000. And I know that I can't go higher than $1,500. Why? Because I need to make at least $500 that night, or what's the point, right? But now I can say, well, what is it going to cost me to run the night? If it costs me $700 to run the night, now I know I can't go higher than $1,200. Knowing that I will see 200 people in that venue just because of whatever the deal is. Especially if you average like 500 people to a venue and I know I only hold 200 people, I know I'm guaranteed those 200 people. So you're worth spending that money on. Where I go, I'm going to give you a flat $1,200. And you're going to say, yeah, okay, I'll take that, right? Or you're going to say no. Maybe you think you're worth more. And maybe that venue's not the right fit for you, right?
And also something to, for something to take into account. Being that I would be the band in this situation that a lot of bands don't think about is the band's expenses on everything. So as a band, I would not only would have to figure out what I feel like is the the work, but also what is my expenses on my in order to actually do it.
Yeah, not the show, but shows. If you're doing a tour, it's not the cost of one show, it's the cost of the tour. So if you figure out what it costs to do the whole tour, then you take all the shows and you divide it by how many shows you're doing, and that's the minimum you need for each show. And if any show says they can't pay you that minimum, you have to either book a new show or cancel that show, and then your number changes. You have to divide it by a new number. If you focus on what it costs to do a show per tour, like, oh, if we do 10 shows, what's it going to cost to do this one show? You're doing it wrong. You have to actually figure out the entire tour, going and coming, and then you basically divide that by the shows, and keep it. And that's your minimum. That's the same thing with comedians. Like when comedians do road tours and stuff like that, you have to figure out the whole thing. What's the cost? What's the expense? And sometimes you could actually ask when your writer, they pay for the flight. Like when I do comedy, sometimes they would pay for the hotel room, or they pay for the travel, or they would pay for food. And the same thing with music. When you get there, they'll have bananas and waters. That's for you. So you have to know what your worth is. And sometimes, if their writer, if they supply a writer, because not all places will, and that's up to the band. They say, all right, if you can't supply the writer, we still want to play the Roseland Ballroom because it'll be the first time we ever play, right? If they supply your writer, you can consider that soft money. Soft money is things that you no longer have to spend money on, but still would be in your budget. So if a writer was affording you an additional $300, and they say, look, I know you normally take $1,000, but we can only afford $700. And you're like, well, they're giving us $300 in writer approved. And now we won't have to eat for the day. So we can take that.
You have to spend money, because you definitely got to eat.
Yeah, but you won't have to spend the money on the food. Therefore, fixing your budget is being taken care of because of the writer.
As long as they have the green M&Ms.
Oh, shit. Do you know why they do the green M&Ms?
If I remember the story correctly, it's because Eddie Van Halen would have it near the very end of the writer to make sure that when you actually read the entire list.
He would actually have it within the writer somewhere, and it wasn't always in the same spot. So it was just making sure that they did read it. Because if you see red and green M&Ms, the other thing is like, if they didn't give you the green M&Ms, what else do they yeah, not even miss out on, but be like, green M&Ms, that's a joke. I will just give them the waters. And it's like, well, did you give us the right equipment then? Where you're like, well, an amp is an amp, and that's the reason they put the green M&Ms in. Because it's saying, did they make choices that have nothing to do with what they were asking for? Anyway, moving on. So it is up to the performer to make the draw possible. But you shouldn't be playing shows to make money or build an audience, first off. You should be getting rewarded to play those shows once your brand is developed. Does that mean not play shows? No. Play as many shows as you want. It doesn't matter. Be on other people's show. But, get out there. Learn. You're practicing when you're playing shows, even if it's a crappy show. That's part of your success is practice.
The only way you're going to get better at being, a live performer is by actually performing live.
Yeah, you have to perform. What I say and what I believe I've always been saying, but people misconstrued it as I say I don't believe people should perform, is I'm saying if you put your worth and your success based on your performances, you're doing it wrong. The performances are rewards. Doesn't mean don't perform. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't perform. But if you're performing to make a living, you're doing it wrong.
100%.
Yeah, it's like a donut shop believing their donuts is what makes them money, which is not true. The reason they make money is because people come in and buy the donuts.
Because they bought into the brand of the donuts.
That's right. The donuts themselves do not make you money. If that was the case, Dunkin' Donuts would not have made a deal with Baskin Robbins.
I actually have
Go ahead. Let me hear
this
this.
example that I think fits the situation.
This is my favorite
Dunkin'
part.
Donuts.
Who's that?
Some business. It's a small business on the East Coast.
First I'm hearing about it.
So basically, we're mainly, East Coast company. Yeah, but everyone knows about Dunkin' Donuts all over the U.S. So a couple years ago, they opened up the first Dunkin' Donuts in Santa Monica. And for like a month, there was a line literally out the door and around the block just because people had already emotionally bought into the brand of Dunkin' Donuts, whether they had come from the East Coast and had just fallen in love with the brand, or there were people who had like grown up on the West Coast that had just heard about it and wanted to be part of the experience.
Yeah, because the two coffees was Starbucks and the Bean, right? Or something. What is that?
Starbucks and Coffee Bean are the two main chains, but the big thing in LA is like there's a lot of little like, tiny mom and pop places.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people go to like this little like one-off places, like Steampunk Cafe, which
One-off.
is my favorite coffee place in all of Los Angeles.
Yeah, sponsors. So that's a good example. Is that the brand of Dunkin' Donuts brought people there, and that's the thing. Like another place could open up, like we're a donut shop, and some people might be like, I support mom and pop shops, whatever, and they'll be like, all right, a new mom and pop shop open up, I'll at least try it, and they're not necessarily supporting the brand or what they're selling. They're supporting in their morals, their emotional adventure of the brand of a mom and pop shop.
I got a question for you. Maybe
Okay.
it's more of a philosophical question.
Maybe
But do you feel that
every day,
Do you feel that
all the time.
the overall culture of like Los Angeles or of a city in particular could be the reason why people would be like, oh, I prefer a mom and pop shop, or would be the motivation to why someone would try a mom and pop shop?
No, it's marketing. Marketing, 100%. There's literally a mom and pop day. There's campaigns that says support your mom and pop shops. There's campaigns support your local shop. It has nothing to do with the city you're in. It has to do with marketing. If that city takes up that marketing, there's a reason for that. It's mostly because that city itself is highly influenced by local shops. Like for example, in LA, there's that like outside mall, but like all the shops are like major shops.
Are you talking about Third Street Promenade in Santa Monica?
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, there's a lot of outside malls, almost never rains.
All right. Well, I don't live in California, but I do know that when I walked that path, it looked like it was in a majority of chain of restaurants and stores, right? But there are some neighborhoods like in New York City or even Brooklyn where it's highly established by mom and pop shops, and it's not that they're, like why does it matter that a city is saying, hey, you should support your mom and pop shops? The reason they market that is because it's a part of the city's brand, because they know if you go to the mom and pop shops, they stay in that building, and if you stay in that building, you pay the landlords, and if you pay the landlords, they can continue to own the building. So who is ultimately influencing the market? It's not the locals, and it's not necessarily the city. It's the landlords that get together for the commerce communities, and they say, all right, we got to put money into making sure people support. I support mom and pop shops for an obvious reason, but that's the reason it exists, marketing. And it goes back to when we had that conversation a couple episodes ago where, it's a preference. It's not a preference. It's all marketing. Everything we love and like comes down to marketing. It's what it is. It's the mom and pop shop theory is marketing 100%. The other thing about Walmart, Walmart says they destroy towns and cities. Is it true? I mean, there's a lot of evidence that it is, but it also creates jobs, it creates opportunities. I live on Long Island. I've never really seen a Walmart destroy the neighborhood. If anything, I've seen other stores open up around it. Because, obviously Walmart only does so much, but then you see a Chinese restaurant, a pizzeria, you see like a shoe place, right? Even though Walmart has shoes, they're not like a Nike.
I half expect like the super Walmarts that are like in the middle of like
Do they have
Midwest
capes?
or whatever to like develop some sort of like transportation device where you can like transport because they're just so big. Like the super ones that are literally like mini cities. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. They're huge, but there's one right by us where we are, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to because I have stalkers. They're crazy. Corn stalkers. Jesus. Not that they live in
but that, I think what you were just talking about is another. I think it still relates to the topic where like whose responsibility is it to draw people into the venue, and the venue in this case would it's a shared. Basically, the venue in this case would be like the
Walmart.
Not the Walmart, like a mom and pop shop. Mom and pop
Sharks? Yeah. It's probably their
mom
diet.
and pop shops.
What about it?
Yeah, it's the mom and pop shops would also act in this case as the artist or as the venue because they're the ones.
I disagree.
No.
A better example would be Walmart is the venue, and then the artists are the products.
Well, I wasn't talking about.
So, do you think Coca-Cola has these mass commercials where they're like, "Hey, Walmart on Middle Island on Long Island sells us. You should go there."
So what about when you have like a coffee shop, like a mom and pop coffee shop?
Yeah, go for it. What's your argument?
So would the coffee shop itself not be the artist in this case, and then the landlord would be the venue? Would that
Well,
be the case?
in that case, the venue owner would be the landlord would be the venue owner. It's not their job or responsibility to bring people to the coffee shop.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, all right. I thought you meant about.
Walmart.
I thought you meant about like the products within.
Oh no. I was talking about like saying you have a mom and pop shop, so like a coffee shop.
Yeah. Yeah. If a place opens up, it's their responsibility to get people to the door. If they get people to the door, they make enough money to pay the rent. If they can pay the rent, the landlord's like, great, I don't care what you're doing, as long as you're not selling drugs, right? And then the pharmacist is like,
unless it's not a dispensary in the state of California.
Imagine a pharmacy opens up and like, it says here we can't sell drugs. Yeah. Last year we had people sell, Yeah, but we're a pharmacy. Oh, well, you can work that.
They only sell lollipops and cigarettes.
When I was renting the theater, the space for the theater, in the contract it said we couldn't have more than 20 people in the audience, and I was like, I can't sign this. And they're like, what? It's like, I literally told you what we're doing. We're opening up a 100-seat theater in the location. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, I only want like 20 or 30 people. Nice. I was like, well, then you can't sign. He's like, oh, so he changed it and had an amendment to saying that we can't advertise the theater, but you can have 100 people. Because if you advertise it, then there's, he feels responsible for us having too many people. But it was 6,200 square feet. As per the fire marshal,
So then
you had like 500 people.
Why you would be like?
Because he was crazy.
Oh,
He was crazy. Between him and my partner, they were
expert.
ex-partner. They were insane, absolutely insane. One time my ex-partner had his heroin friend that I didn't know was a heroin addict come in. I was like, this guy's a little off. He comes in and he's a plumber, right? But it turns out he's also like an electrician and the air people, the people who do the air, something vac.
Yeah.
HVAC. Anyway, I don't know why he did it, but there was like the water
Plumbing.
the water gauge that you're not supposed to touch. By the law says don't touch it, whatever.
Touched it.
He didn't touch it. He cleaned it, right? So the landlord walked in and he saw it, and it looked brand new. And he's like, "That's it. I gotta call the cops. I gotta call the tower." And we're like, "Why?" He's like, "You replaced the." I was like, "We didn't replace it." He's like, "You didn't?" No, he cleaned it. He cleaned it? Yeah, he scrubbed it and washed it because people see it. So he cleaned it. He's like, "Oh, all right." But like that's what I'm saying. Like the landlord was always looking for reasons to.
Why? And that.
Because we already signed the lease.
But why would he sign the lease to you if he knew what you were going to do?
Because he made more money closing us down than he did keeping us open. Because he could close us down and he gets whatever it was like, $12,000 or whatever to open up, and then just to sign the lease. So now, he gets that money. He doesn't have to give us our security back, which was 2 months, and then he could open it up to somebody else now. That's that. Yeah, he's a landlord. Landlords are evil.
All right. So when we're landlords, let's not be dicks.
I will never be a DICK. I will always. My idea of a landlord is, I think there should be like I would be comfortable doing like a minimum rent that is lower than what rent would be, and then we get a percentage of whatever you earn, and if by doing so, we'll also be marketing that you're here on our website. Like it would be like you're paying for the marketing. But
And at that point, it lends a helping hand, especially for people who are just starting out and can't necessarily afford.
which is our mission, is always to help people that want to have a dream. So
Bring reality to their dreams.
Yeah, like if a pizzeria was like, "Hey, I want to open up," we'd be like, "All right, rent is free. Just give us all the pizza."
I'm down.
I'm down for that. 1 second. I want to change this. How's that sound? Does that sound
Sounds
better?
like you're talking.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can.
It sounds so low.
Low.
Wait, did you change it on there?
No.
Hello?
So.
Hey, how's it going? I'm just going to change it. You know what? I'll go
Oh,
back to
you're
this.
weak, buddy.
Yeah, no, I'll fix it. Right, that's better, right?
Yes.
I know exactly what I'm doing. Anyway, what's your name? JD, right?
Steve?
I want to say slow to hard Tim. Anyway, so as we have confirmed, it is the responsibility of the performer to draw the audience, right? Before they can responsibly request a paycheck. However, if you don't have a brand and you're going to a show, don't expect anyone to show up you didn't ask to come. Just go to the show, have fun, whatever. Now, as a venue owner, I would get yelled at from some people that would pay to use the theater, which, by the way, I charged a ridiculously low amount, like $300 for a night, which is unheard of. And then I would let you use, for every night you rented, you would get 2 rehearsal nights for free, and then it's $25 an hour for whatever. Yeah, which is insanely reasonable.
Yes.
Insanely reasonable. But then they're like, how come you're not spending money on marketing? I was like, because you spent $300 to rent. $300 is literally the minimum I need to afford this night. So I if you want, I could charge you $1,500
I'll do the marketing.
or $5,000 like they are in the city. Some of them are $10,000 a night in the city.
That's a lot of dollars.
It's expensive, right? But my goal was to allow people an opportunity to be able to afford to use the theater, right? And I go, your show is going to be marketed, in our our website, on our social media, obviously in the theater, on our playbills, every show, in the play, you get the playbill. But we weren't going to spend marketing money on shows.
That specific show.
That's especially if it was a no-name show. Like when we did Hamlet, we put a little bit of effort into saying.
People were, like you said earlier, people were like, "Oh, Hamlet, I love this. Let me go."
Yeah, the same thing as if I had Louis C.K. performing at my theater, whatever it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I would have been like, Louis C.K. is performing at my theater. And the reason is,
because you know for a fact that he has a draw.
He has a huge draw. And that's the difference between somebody that has no draw or brand value going, hey, you should book my band, or I'm a comedian, you should book me because I'm so funny, or my band's amazing, we have a great stage show. And they're like, are you Kiss? No. Kiss sucks.
Are you mini Kiss?
Oh, Kiss sucks. You do know they sell out stadiums. Yeah, but those people, they don't like good music. Oh, they don't? You think people who listen to Kiss don't listen to, say, Dream Theater? Right? Like, you got to be out of your mind.
Yeah. It's not like people listen to one band only. It's like people listen to everything.
Yeah.
People can literally go from a band like Cannibal Corpse and then go to pop and listen to Britney Spears because hey, why not?
Yeah, it's like your band, Angels on the Battlefield. People listen to it. And if you want to hear more from them, go to makeawilitear.com and check them out.
If you want to listen to Thomas's band, now Daniel, go to dreamtheater.com.
It's actually dreamtheater.net. Isn't that insane?
It's really funny.
I think they actually are .com now, but I'll tell you right now, back 10, 15 years ago, oh my God.
You just had an aha moment.
Oh my God. How long have I not? So I haven't been in Tenebra for 13 years. And I played in Tenebra from 97 to 07.
For 10 years.
So it's 23 years ago. So 20 years ago, it was .net.
Wow.
I also saw Dream Theater's 25th anniversary show. That's, Jesus. Anyway, so venues. But so owning a venue, my goal was to make money. But I also...
Well, I think what would be a fun thing to talk about, and a relevant thing to talk about, would be when you were in Tenebra, when you decided to actually start taking over and booking yourself.
Well, I was going to get into that, but after what a venue's responsibility is, because that's part of what we're talking about is ultimately, well, what can you do if you're going to run your own shows? But I wanted to talk about whose responsibility is it. We've decided that it's the performer's responsibility, and then as a venue, what is our responsibility, right? Because I saw on social media people saying, oh, venues, they just want to make money. Yeah, they have to make money so the venue stays open.
So you can perform at said venue.
Yeah. Now, we were under the luxury of BBR Productions making money, and then the theater gave us, because we had that, the theater, we didn't have to charge ridiculous amounts of money. We were an affordable theater for independent people or people who have never done anything. And we would make deals with people. It's like, look, you're paying $300 for the night. So the ticket sales are going to be split 75-25. All tickets were $20. 75 in our favor. Once it reaches $300, it switches. And now you get 75 and we get 25. Right? So, or is it, no, it's the other way around. It was the other way around. We wanted them to recoup their money. So we would give them 75% of the door and we get 25% for that night. And then if they made the $300, it switches. Now we make 75% at the door, they make 25%. And that's only because they were spending $300 to rent it. Now, if somebody was like, hey, look, I want to take all the door, we'd be like, great. It's going to be $1,500 for the night or $1,000 for the night.
Yeah, because you wanted to make sure that you covered all your expenses.
Yeah, because ultimately we knew we weren't going to make money on tickets anyway, but it was sort of like an incentive. We were like, look, you basically, if it's a $20 ticket and you're making $15 a person, that means to make $300, how many tickets do they have to sell?
You're asking me to do math right now.
20 tickets. So they have to bring 20 people in to make their money back for that night. So that was the incentive, right? And I did that for comedians too. So if I booked you as a comedian, I wasn't going to pay you, but you were going to get paid if people came for you.
And what you were doing is you were teaching the people who were using your theater indirectly to be a business and to expect, oh, I'm working, I can make money doing this. And then
That's right. But yeah, the lesson ultimately was, you put the time and effort in, you're going to get paid. Whereas like traditionally, if a comic comes in, they might get like $20, $25 for the night.
it's like your deal a lot better.
Well, yeah, because I also did compound growth. So if they only brought 10 people in, they were going to get 25% of the ticket, meaning they got $5 a ticket. So 10 people is still $50. But the moment they brought 11 people, I actually changed the whole rate where they would get 50% of the ticket. So that means they're making those 10 plus that 11th. It's $10 a ticket. So that's $110, right? However, if they brought 21 people, I would give them 75% of the ticket, and the theater would just take the $5 because they brought that many people. They deserve to get paid that much money. So I had these, and it wasn't like the 10 people and then the 20 people was a different rate. No, if they brought 21 people, I gave them 75% of the ticket. So that means they made $15. It's 150. That's 300. That's $450 for the night, right?
And they would have made back the money for renting the theater.
No, they weren't renting the theater. This is me just booking someone to do a comedy night. So if they brought 30 people, they were going to get $450 for the night. And then we, as a company, was only going to get, I think, $75. And you know what? That was fine with me because they earned it. They brought 30 people. 30 people were going to spend money on the concession. 30 people were going to say, oh, wow, a theater. And they will come back to the theater. They go, oh, they have shows because they could see that there's other shows. So my brain was like $75 for the night. If someone brings 30, deserves $450 because I'm going to make more than that over the long run. Because again, everything you do must affect everything you do. And I'm not trying to make money on that night. I'm trying to have longevity. I'm trying to create a longevity of income. And that's how you would do it. You basically praise and reward hard work. You praise and reward strong brands. You praise and reward people that put time and effort in.
And you also did something that a lot of bands and artists don't do ahead of time, is you built up a safety net for you in order for you to afford to be able to do all these gigs for other people.
Well, I mean, at the time, the theater, my safety net was not something I had to build. I had it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I did. I built that beforehand, and I did the band, and then I had money from the band. Then I had money doing what I do, which is consulting and marketing. I rub people's toes, What? Any questions on that? No, all right.
Does that count as development or you're rubbing your toes?
I developed a weird kink, and that was that. No,
Bye, everybody.
So, yeah. Now, in that sense, what am I doing as a venue? I'm not trying to make money, but I am rewarding people that have brand value. So if somebody brought 30 people and they're going to get paid a good chunk. And obviously if they brought 40, 50, 60, 70 people, they're going to get paid the money for it. And a majority of the time, I am not making this up, it'll be like one comedian that brought like 5 or 10 people, and then the other comedians would bring nobody. And then they would be like, hey, no one showed up. And I'm like, did you tell people to come? Yeah. I mean, did you market the show? Yeah. And then I go on their website, and there's a little thing and like a counter, and it's just words, and it goes Roast Theater. And then you see they have 15 other shows, and they perform literally every other day. So why
would they go to that one show and they get to pick
Yeah.
8 of the 15 that you had within like a 3-hour period?
Yeah, they completely destroyed the value of their performance, because now not only is the Roast Theater $20 and other shows were $10, but it was $10 to 2 drink minimum, so they're actually spending $30 to $35 or even $40 a person. In their mind, like, well, that's a $10 show and this is a $20 show, right? And there was no drink minimum at my show, so you can go, because I didn't serve alcohol, so I'd be like, and everything was $2 to $5 depending on what you got, right? But the point is, you're what's the word I'm looking for when you
Oversaturated.
they oversaturated the performance, so it's like no one's gonna come to see you, especially here. So that's on you. That's not me. Oh, you should be marketing so people show up.
I market my theater.
You know, it's funny you say that. We are a marketing company. You could pay us to market your show, and they're like, but it's your venue. Yeah.
I market my venue.
Don't you think I want to make money tonight? Yeah, why didn't you market it? I do. I market the Roast Theater, but you guys have zero draw. No one cares about you to come here on a Saturday night and spend $20 to see Joe Schmo or Melissa Ho to be like, hey, I can't wait to see this person that I've never seen in my entire life. So that's the problem with artists too. They're
There's this feeling of entitlement because they are performing, which is obviously very misguided.
Yeah, and really, I always laughed at that, and then I would give them some advice. I'd be like, well, this is what you should be doing. I'm like, yeah, I know, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, you're not doing it. And they're like, you're not doing it. I was like, just because no one came to this show doesn't mean people aren't coming to the theater shows. And no one, you know what I'm saying? Like when I did Letter of Reason, which no one's ever heard of, but they heard of me, those shows would bring people and draw people. In fact, my brand and the show itself brought in the news. So, but I didn't go around and say, hey, you should come and do a I made a lot of people cry because it was so bad.
Anyone that doesn't cry during Letter of Reason does not have a soul.
Then I have no soul. Now, what kind of conversations did you and your band have when you felt the venues were taking advantage of you, when they're like, you have to pay, buy tickets and sell the tickets?
Until I met you, I did not know that it was actually illegal for venues and promoters to do that. But the overall conversation was, oh, this is stupid. Why do we have to do this? And but unfortunately, we ended up doing more shows than I would like to admit. For that is the process.
Now, why would you? What was the process of selling those tickets?
The process of selling those tickets, or the process of basically saying we should do this? The mentality.
What was the mentality of you? All right, let's walk through the process.
Right, so basically, we didn't know that it was illegal for people, for venues or promoters to basically ask you for money for tickets.
Well, yeah, it's like paying to be a cashier.
Exactly. We didn't like the idea, but we ended up doing it. And the logic that we used for us was, we're like, oh, we're going to be playing at this venue, so it'll be good for our resume, or we'll be working with this booking company, this promotion company, and it'll be good for our resume. We did it thinking that it would be good networking without understanding what networking was. But then we realized, I realized after I met you, that anyone that actually does that is seen as being kind of a putz. So we realized that we were being seen as putzes because we were basically getting ripped off. So, and then after we got the tickets, moving on in the process, we would go to, friends and family originally, and then there were some fans we built over time, just through word of mouth from people talking about us.
Yeah, aunts and uncles.
Yeah, and also Beatles and Flash.
Beatles. That's That's an insight.
But yeah, so we would basically have to go in person to people and be like, "Oh, your buy your tickets, oh, buy your tickets, buy your tickets." Or we could go to like
Please
other
buy
people's
your tickets.
shows and be like, "Oh, buy your tickets, buy your tickets."
Now, what happens if you didn't sell the tickets? Did you have to spend money to get on the show?
There were some where we would have to be like, "All right, whatever."
We
would
only sold.
have to basically pay the difference, which again is illegal.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of promoters that basically were just like, "Here's the tickets, don't worry about it, set the account," and they just because they knew that like we would work with them over time, so like we would be like repeat business for them. So like no matter even if we didn't sell out all the tickets for that show, they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, whatever."
Well, that's nice of
Like,
them. How much did you make on the show?
we almost never made any money.
All right. And when you did, you just gave it to each other, right? Yeah.
Not all of it. I was a very big proponent, and there was a bass player that I worked with.
Yeah.
And,
But you gave
so
some.
just we're like the band needs money, so we can do stuff.
Now that's why your band failed, just so you know, financially.
That's one of the reasons.
That's one of Because bands, comedians, actors, all the performers in the world, when you make money, your money should go into your company account, and then when it can afford its overhead for X amount of time, usually 3 to 6 months, now you're allowed to pay yourself a salary. Now, when I say that, your company should also be paying for your expenses, right? But if it can't afford those expenses, you don't deserve any of the money yet, because your business is growing. Let your business grow. And then you pay out of, if you have a survival job at that point, which you shouldn't, and you should have a foundation, which most people don't. Some do, but not most. That's the thing. Like, even with your business, you get paid last. If you're a business owner, rule of business is you get paid last. You pay your employees, you pay your bills, you pay for the growth of your company, and when it reaches a certain number amount, you now are allowed to get paid. Now, are you allowed dividends? Yeah, sure. But again, you have to earn the right for that. If your company is making X amount of dollars for each quarter, you take that pay. That's how you grow your company.
And also plenty of water.
You need plenty of ones. But even an actor, comedian, right? All these people, that's how you have to run your business. It'll never grow if you just keep taking the money. If you take the money, you're spending the growth of your company. But anyway, moving on. So we brought up earlier, how do you run a show? How can you run a show? Now, have you ever booked a show yourself? Have you ever gotten a venue, got some bands?
Yep.
And what was your process and what did you do so we can correct it?
The last time I booked a show, basically,
It was 1903.
Thank you, man.
I remember when we had to burn all the gold for World War II. It's just...
Actually, I'll go back to one of the old psychosis shows we booked. We
Just pick one. I think your battery's about to die.
oh no, let me go fix this.
I thought you charged it.
I thought I did too.
I don't believe it.
20%.
This is what happens when you get an apple.
Oh
Oh
no.
my god!
Oh,
Anything on Twitch?
They're saying hi.
How many viewers we got? 2? 3?
I can't tell because that thing is covered at the moment.
It's over there. Can't you see it on the bottom? 2.
2. We got those.
Those.
So what we did is we
What did you do? Tell me.
we frequented this venue and
Oh,
we were
what venue?
friends.
What venue?
It was
Tracks? Revolution.
O'Brien's.
O'Brien's!
O'Brien's or O'Reilly's? O'Reilly's.
No, O'Reilly's.
Whichever one. I keep
Was this
forgetting.
one in Smithtown? Or?
No, this is in
Montgomery?
Orem.
Coram.
Orem.
O'Reilly's. It's O'Reilly's.
O'Reilly's. That one. Anyway, we'd go there frequently because
Not Magic Mike's?
No,
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Oof, that club was terrible. Anyway,
Anyway, so we would just hang out there frequently. So we're like,
have we
hey,
met? Oh.
can we book a show here? And they were like, yeah, sure, of course. And
What was the qualifications for booking the show then?
they literally were just like, whatever, you guys can do what you want, 'cause you're here all the time.
Okay, good. So networking.
Yeah.
Relationship.
So basically, we booked our friends on the bands we wanted to do.
Why'd you book your friends?
Because we liked them
Okay.
and we liked working with them,
So there was no criteria. You were just like, we like you.
pretty much.
Good. Networking.
Networking. And the thing that we wanted to do is that
What did you want to do?
when we booked it, we're like, everyone is going to get paid. So
That's
basically,
ridiculous. But go ahead.
What?
That was ridiculous. But go ahead. Why is everyone going to get paid?
well,
Can you afford it?
hear me out.
I'm trying to. You just promised something you can't do.
We basically said all the bands.
Yeah.
The venue said we're not going to take anything at the door because we know that people should come here. We just had someone basically keeping tally of who was coming to see who. And whatever, however many people pay for that band, they just got that money.
So you weren't trying to be a promoter.
No.
And you didn't care about doing another show.
No.
All right. So you were doing a show one-off because we have to perform.
Exactly.
All right. So you weren't doing a show to build something, right?
You were not.
All right. So if you were doing a tour in that situation, would that be a good or bad model? Listen, all of you get paid whatever. Don't worry about paying for the shows or the marketing. All right. Everything JD just said is prime example of what an artist would do. They just go, we're just gonna get paid for do what we do, but they're not thinking about the future. Remember, everything you do must affect everything you do, and your business must get paid first before you get paid. So even in that situation, your band was just saying, we'll just take the money that we get from the door, but you were a promoter in that situation. You had an opportunity to actually make enough money, not to necessarily pay your band, but to pay a company idea to do bigger shows. And those bigger shows would have included larger acts. Eventually, you would have had the kind of money to afford marketing on the radio, marketing in magazines or newspapers, so press. And what would that have done?
Also, blogs and the internet.
Blogs and the internet. But you wouldn't back then.
The internet.
But my point is, all those bands got paid 100% of the earnings. But yet, as a company, you could have taken all that money, give them a portion of it, which would be deserving of whatever it is, if they sold 10, 20, 30, or 40 tickets, right? And taking that money and put it into a business account, all right? And allow that business to afford to market the next show. Or more importantly, market the brand of the promotion company putting on the shows. Because if that company grows and people they throw really great shows, that company can draw anybody to any show. But the idea is you're supposed to make it so the next show has people, and the next show, and the next show. But you were focused on one show.
You weren't thinking about the future.
Yeah, so how does a band do that? Or how does a comedian do that? Or how does an actor play or anything? Or even a film? How do you get a film to go?
I don't know, Thomas. Can you tell us how they done do it?
Well, first and foremost, you should have a foundation. Financially, you should be, if you're going to do anything, incorporate. Get an S Corp, create the company, whatever it is, it's a promotion company, whatever the deal is, call it whatever you want. Blue cup promotion, right? Even though this is purple. My cup, this is a purple cup, but it looks blue, especially if you're blind. If you feel it, it feels like it's real. You should open up a company, create an S Corp, because the money should go through the corporation. The other thing is, you should be able to afford that show financially if you made $0. And what that means is if I said to bands, we're all going to get paid, right? You should be able to pay those bands even if the show makes $0 and not be broke. It shouldn't come out of your pocket. There should be some sort of capital investment into your company, right? So you should create a foundation. That foundation should be based on 18 months of overhead. So whatever it costs you to run that company idea, that booking idea, you should have, not saying you're not going to make money, but you should have that 18 months in case you don't make money. Worst case scenario. And it should take about a year for you to start making real money with any venture you do, but it's if you're putting the time in. But is somebody who's running shows job to just book shows? No, they're about building sponsorships for those shows. Each show individually could get paid solely on sponsorships instead of going, we're going to get Fear Factory on the show. It's going to cost us $10,000. So we're going to get 1,200 bands to open up for them. And we're going to make them each have to sell $500 worth of tickets, knowing they won't sell those tickets. So they'll have to give us $500. So we're not going to overbook the show, but we are going to be able to afford the band. What I just said is the reason that promoters can be evil. Do you see how that works? Because you just said it earlier. You rarely ever sold all the tickets, and then you have to get the difference. But you not selling 50 tickets and only selling 10 tickets means there's 40 spots left. So they still got the money for 40 people not showing up. But now another band sold more than 50 tickets, and they were able to fill an additional 40 tickets of people. See, but that can cause issues with the fire marshal. If they're like, oh, we just sold 5,000 seats for a 200-seat venue. You know, whoops, but I have to pay for Feel Factory. Anyway, so basically what you have to figure out is what will it cost? Some of your responsibilities is putting on shows or being a band or having, being a theater company. And the theater company doesn't have to own a theater. They could just be somebody that has a theater troupe and then put being a comedian. All these things is you're supposed to be building relationships with other comedians, other musicians, whatever the deal is. And those sponsorships could eventually afford you the right to put a show on. Maybe they're paying for advertisement to be in playbills. Maybe they're paying for advertisement to be the main sponsor. So they, maybe their only investment is that they bought the banner for the production company, right? Whatever the deal is. The other thing is you're supposed to be making relationships with press. The Rose Theater had made friends with what is it?
You stay.
No, 106. It's FM. WBLI, WRCM. Yeah, but there's like multiple channels. Anyway, we made friends with them, and they would have me on all the time, co-host. And then I'd co-host, and what did I get to talk about? I'd just talk about me, and somebody would be like, hey, how's the theater going? Oh, the Rose Theater over on, in Holbrook is doing all right. So it wasn't like we talked about the theater, but it was like in passing, and 500,000 people were listening. But we built those relationships, and then they would talk about it, and I didn't have to pay for marketing, right? The other thing is building relationship with newspapers, magazines, blogs, podcasts, whatever the case may be. That's your job. It isn't necessarily just to put on the show. That's the byproduct of you doing all the right work. Those shows would be very successful, even for a band or a comedian. If a comedian put the time into developing relationships with sponsored opportunities, press, radio, things like that, that will create movement to market. But what is your foundation supposed to support? What is your overhead? Well, that's what you do. You figure out how much would it cost to do advertising. Though eventually your advertising might not be as expensive because your sponsor's paying for it, but you still must cover the expense.
You need to know how much it actually costs to do that.
Exactly. And if you have the ability to cover it and then a sponsor comes in and covers that expense, that's known as soft money. Because you're not necessarily making that money, but they're paying for something now you don't have to pay for.
And also, it's made out of cotton candy.
You're a funny guy. I just, who is it? Can we get security in here? But also in film, that's what soft money is. So like, let's say we have in the budget, we need lenses for the camera, and the lens is going to cost $5,000 for like 7 different lenses. And then a different company comes and goes, we'll sponsor your movie. They're going to give you the lenses, so it's soft money. You don't have to pay for it, but it also
still goes into the budget. So that's how much it costs.
Correct. And also as a producer, I would get a bonus at the end of the production if I went under budget. And soft money helps you go under budget. But it's the same thing with a promoter. Oh, you know what? I get a bonus this quarter because I saved I ended up getting enough money to come in to pay for these shows,
Right.
right?
You're saying anyone that is in entertainment should really put themselves into a position where they have the ability to create their own opportunity.
Well, yeah, like let's just start with bands real quick. If a band wants to put a show on for the reward of performing in front of 10 people, right? They're not a business. They're a hobbyist. They're just the artist brain is taking over. They're
They
just
want
like,
to do it because it's fun.
yeah, well, we got a show. We can play at the tracks. Montgomery.
It's just no longer there.
Thank God. I remember when it was the Old Boy Pub. I just want to put that.
I don't even remember what that wasn't even the thing when I was
No,
in
definitely.
the scene.
Well, you weren't even in the scene when it was the Old Boy
I
Pub.
don't think I discovered metal at that point.
No, you were like 4. How old were you in 2000? 12. You were 12 in 2000? Security. Can we get security? Anyway, so a band, if a band does that, they're a hobbyist. But what a band should be doing is their job. They should be networking, marketing. They should be practicing not just their skill as their craft, but how the business works and what their strengths and weaknesses are to improve them as individuals. And then you should be managing your time, money, and the people around you. You should be using your entrepreneurial brain to think outside the box. It's not about the shows. It's not about the products. What is it about? Let that brain work. Let it figure out, how do I get more involved in the community? How, when you hear no, like we used to hear no when we wanted to get booked, and they're like, no, you guys are nobody. So then we would book our own shows. But I did basically what I was saying is I didn't book for that show. I booked because I wanted to book more than one show. I wanted to make money, and it created brand value. People were like, oh,
You get stuff done.
yeah, you want to play here? Yeah, it's going to cost this much money. Why? Because I can make twice as much doing it somewhere else. And by myself. But also, when I would tell people, you get this much money for the tickets, and if you sell 11 tickets, you get this much, and if you sell 21 tickets, you get this much. That's a part of my brand. It's telling people.
This guy's going to help us out.
Well, it's not that I'm helping them out. It's my brand was that I am going to pay you based on what you bring in. You're not responsible to buy the tickets if you don't sell. But at the same time, my brand was basically saying I help people basically make money, and it's like. So
you're agreeing that I was right when you say you were helping them?
Yeah, but I'm not helping them learn the system. I'm giving them a chance to make money.
You definitely are, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Because you're actually going here. This is how it would work in practicality.
Well, yeah, except in reality, it's not a system of 10, 20, 30. Because if you're a big name, you're already selling hundreds. But yeah, there's tiers. It's like when I teach you lessons, you go, yeah, but what about so-and-so? I go, they're on a different tier than you. Everything changes as you go up in tiers. It's just how it is. Tier 1 empire. Anyway, so once you have that foundation of 18 months, now you can start booking shows. What you should do as a promoter is you can do a show every weekend as a promoter or an event. But the thing is, you have to put different acts in there because you're not saturating the field because they're different.
Yeah, because if you're going to have the same thing every time,
yeah,
where you're like, oh, we're just going out for one, where it's they already have a reason to come every time.
Yeah. Oh, the Blue Cup Promotions is doing a show. They have really good shows, right? Those are good guys. But your job is to market and elevate your company at that point. The Blue Cup Promotions, right? And get people to go to the website. And when you do interviews, get people to hear about what you do. Why do you do these promotions? Why do you create these events? What's your goal? And it's not necessarily about the acts that are in it, especially if you're working with local projects, a local comedian, a local band, or a local theater, whatever. However, if you do have a major act on it, you would pivot, because you went up a tier, to talk about that act. Oh, Aerosmith decided to come and do a 20 or 30-minute set for us, and we're, they're going to do a show. You would say that. You would absolutely 100% that. But that's a different tier of marketing. If your acts do not have an equal or greater value of brand to your business, you don't market them. You market your brand, and you allow people to come to your brand and go to your website and then see that other people are on there. Now, the other thing is don't just be like, hey, this band is playing, or these three comedians are playing. Give something about them. Make sure that maybe
people understand what they're about, so people can have something to connect to. Like, oh, I want to be part of it.
Yeah, like for example, I know that moving forward, with top of the bottom pile, our comedy mission, or even our band mission, Score to Settle, or even Team Rise Together, things like that, our goal would be to interview those people. And then if we have a show, you put their interview up, their 3 to 5 or even 7-minute interview. And then it says, these people performing, here's an interview of that person, here's an interview. And if they watch that interview, they're getting to learn who that person is, and if they can relate to that person, they might be willing to watch them. Now, if I do their comedy, if it's top of the bottom pile, what I'm doing is I'm limiting the interest of that audience member, because they'll hear the comedy and be like, this isn't my stick, right? My shtick. But the other thing is, now, what if they do like the jokes? And then they go to the show. What's going to happen if they hear the same exact jokes? Yeah, I already heard. Same thing with bands. If I put a song up, and the song isn't necessarily a branded hit, if Michael Jackson had Beat It on there, it's a whole different tier. But this is a local band no one's ever heard of, and they're listening to a song all right, it's all right. They're going to say yay or nay. And then they go to the show, and that's the only song they know now. So while they're watching the band, they can't get into it. And then they play that one song, and it's like listening to the hit of one of your favorite 80s bands. I know. Shout to the heart, and you're too bad. So, but if you see an interview, you're learning something about them. Same thing with an actor. What are you going to do? Show their reel or show like a clip of the, you could do a trailer of the movie, but again, if the trailer was the most important part, when Brad Pitt goes on a talk show to talk about a movie he's in, why don't they just show the trailer? No, they ask him questions about his life, who he is, and he makes jokes. And then they go, oh, what's the clip we got here? And Brad Pitt is usually, just like most of the people, are taught to go, I don't know, I'm in the film. And then the host goes, all right, well, here's the thing. And it's like a 2-second clip. But it's at the very end of the interview. It's the least important thing. And the most important thing that the people are remembering is the way they felt listening to the stories. So when you, as a band, think
Or
an actor, or anybody, get your interviews out there, and that'll create movement to get people to come to your show.
And also another thing is do it before.
Your phone died.
Do it beforehand too, because it's not just.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to be doing it. You're never doing anything for the show coming up.
You're doing it for
the future. Yeah. So if you're like, we booked the show, let's start doing stuff, you're an idiot.
Yeah, same thing with like putting out an album. It's like, oh, the album's done. But you were making an album.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, hey, buy my album. When is it coming out? Oh, it's out now. When did it come out? Today.
5 minutes.
Yeah, please. I put my life into this. But it's, what's funny? What we're talking about actually influences everybody. It could be a comedian, but it could also be an architect, or it could be a teacher, or it could be
That donut shop. So
a donut shop. Yeah, if you wouldn't wait until you are something to start marketing it, you would also market your journey. And the rule of thumb in marketing is don't tell people what you do. You're supposed to show them who you are. That's what marketing is ultimately. It's who are you as a brand? What do you stand for? What are your ideals? No one's going to hire you to work as a teacher if they don't hear who you are. If they go, oh, you have these great credentials, and then you're like, yeah. And then you say, I like the Mets. And they're like, oh, we can't hire you. Why? Because we don't like the Mets. Yeah, who likes the Mets? Well, the Metropolitans, they're so bad that people are like, let's just change the name. Aren't they Brooklyn Dodgers? No.
Well, the Brooklyn Dodgers, now the LA Dodgers.
They are the LA Dodgers. There's a story to that. Robert Moses is the reason for that.
Was that?
Yeah, you tell me, JD.
I don't know.
I'm asking.
I was
you.
asking you.
No, I was already telling you. They're splitting the league. Do you know why they split them?
I don't. Well,
This guy over here.
because I feel like I've heard the story from my uncle who's a giant baseball fan. I thought, if I remember correctly, that the baseball league was splitting into 2 divisions. So it was like,
Why was it splitting into
I don't know.
2? No, that's not why it happened. But they did want a Queens team. Where's the Mets? Queens. And where are the Yankees?
The Bronx.
The Bronx. But where were the Dodgers?
Brooklyn.
Was that Queens?
That was not Queens.
That was not Queens.
That was Brooklyn.
That was Brooklyn. Anyway, there's a lot of a story to that, but I don't give a crap about it.
Yeah. Now the Dodgers are over in LA.
Dodgers. Do you know why they're in Anaheim?
No, Anaheim's Angels.
Oh, the Angels. Do you know why where they at? And they're in LA.
Because it's where they're met.
Affordable land. They were offered affordable land. Same thing with Anaheim. Not at the time, man. It's like, what was it, the 40s, 50s? I don't know. When was Robert Moses land? Who's the racist?
Robert Moses was definitely racist.
The guy with the feet.
Not all racists have feet.
Anyway, let's sum up the show. All right. So
Whose responsibility is it to fill a venue?
it is the performer's responsibility.
Whether you are an actor, whether you're a comedian, whether you are a band, whether you are a mime.
If you're putting a movie together and you want to do a screening, it's still your responsibility. Now, what is the venue's responsibility? The venue's responsibility is to build awareness to their venue to make sure that people know it exists, and then that existence allows people to see what they're doing. Their secondary responsibility, by the way, their first responsibility is to ultimately make money. The secondary responsibility is that there is at least proper marketing on their websites and free avenues suggesting that there's stuff going on at the venue.
So people are like, oh, things happen.
Yeah, and you're not just a bar with drinking. Now, to sum up, JD, let's see if JD was listening. What does it take to be someone who does their own events?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that comes into play. First off, you have to always be thinking about the future. It's not about the one event that's coming.
Correct.
And you always have to be setting up a foundation in order for you to basically afford everything that you're doing right off the bat before you're able to actually start making money because you've taken the time to build your brand, which people have become aware of and emotionally invested in.
So yeah, but what else? What is part of the job? What do you have to do to be a venue to run promotions?
Basically, you have to network, market, and practice. To sum it up.
So you don't remember.
Well, I do have the memory of silk. So why don't we sum it up for us? I don't have a clipboard.
Why not?
Well, I don't know why I didn't have a clipboard.
To sum up. Oh wait. Who's this?
Who's what?
I think Erica's calling me. Let's see what this looks like. Erica?
Hey, Thomas.
Hey, you're live on our podcast.
Yes, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Hi, guys.
Hey!
Let's ask Erica. Maybe she knows.
Erica, what do you want to talk about? You're live.
Oh my gosh. It feels like the old days, Thomas.
God, do you have what it takes to make it right up to you?
By the way, this is Erica LaRose, everybody.
Yeah.
Erica LaRose. The LaRose pose.
Are you guys live on Instagram or what's happening?
We're live on YouTube
And Twitch.
and Twitch, and then this goes up on Thursdays.
Oh, very cool. New week content.
Oh, look, me either.
And listen.
I was, I have psychic abilities, so I said I'm sure they need my presence in this episode.
Look, we need your presence every day. No, seriously, what kind of presents do you have? Like, are they like, yeah,
Are they wrapped with bows?
are they wrapped with bows? Are they pizzas? Are they?
They're, invisible.
Oh, like my love life.
Aww.
Speaking of love life, how are you doing?
You know, it's really good. Me, myself, and I are very happy together.
Good.
And, I look in the mirror and I just say, you go, girl. I love you.
You know what's crazy? We love you.
I love you guys.
Oh my God, Jesus, that's so nice. She loves me. I'm in. No.
So I just want to say I'm so super excited to be part of this film festival, and I called to ask a few questions, but we will not be doing that right now.
There's a film festival going on?
First I'm hearing about it.
Whoa.
All right, well, I'll call you after I'm done.
Okay, good.
All right, bye. All right, that was Erica LaRose, everyone.
With some serendipitous film festival marketing.
Yeah, yeah. Serendipitous. Erica LaRose Pose. She is.
EricaLaRose.com.
What movie does she have?
Oh, 165 star.
Oh, you remember that, but you don't remember the rules to being a
To
promoter.
be fair, it's like, 7 characters.
Oh, that's fine. So to sum up, what does a promoter? What is their job? Is ultimately to build relationships with sponsor opportunities, build relationships with media opportunities, build relationships with venues, and then also build relationships with whatever the performers are and things like that. And your job should be to save that kind of money, have a foundation, and ultimately make it so you can grow your company so you're making money. But the other thing about making money and having sponsorships and things like that will help influence the quality of those shows as well. Because as your budget grows, you're obviously
And be able to afford bigger and better.
bigger and better, venues, bigger, better venues, bigger, better clientele, because the clientele would be hiring the performers, higher tickets. Like me, I want to eventually open up another venue that would be a theater, but I want to have multiple stages because I want to have like a main stage, which has a show that runs for X amount of months. I want to have a secondary stage, which is so you can kind of like do whatever you want. And then I want like a small stage for people that are just starting out. So, maybe it holds 25 seats and like, look, just do whatever you want.
The stage always awaits.
Stage awaits, But anyway, but again, everything you do must affect everything you do. So what is your brand? What do you stand for? As a promoter, as a band, as a comedian, as an actor, as a filmmaker, what is it you're trying to say? What do you want people to realize? Like Martin Scorsese, believe it or not, has a brand. When you think of him, you think of a very specific way of storytelling. when you think of Kevin Feige, you have a very specific way of thinking. Oh, what is his deal? Oh, he makes Marvel movies. He's the creator of the cinematic universe that made something. He made it a reality. So even when you think Tom Cruise, there's a very specific style of filmmaking for Tom Cruise. If you think of Metallica, there's a very specific show you're going to get, right? If you think of Behemoth or Iron Maiden or Iced Earth or any of these bands, or Angels on the Battlefield, go to MakeALightUp.com, right? Everything you love has a brand to it. It has a message, and you have to understand what that is for you to stand out and grow. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. Do we have any questions here?
Nothing on the page.
It says we have one person watching. Whoever's watching on Facebook, if you have a question about what we're talking about, please.
Me. That one's over.
The YouTube, I mean, yeah. What did I say? Facebook?
You did.
Oh my God, I meant
Facebook guy
YouTube.
over there.
What happened
Any
on
questions
Facebook?
on Twitch one?
What's going on Twitch? We're at the end of the show. We're done. We're basically done. Jesus, how long were we doing this? 2 hours?
Hour and a half is the.
Hour and a half? Oh yeah, that's pretty long. You keep getting longer and longer.
The dog keeps going, hey guys, it's time to.
There's a lot to talk about. That's what it's.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it definitely is, and especially with like stuff like this. There's a lot of misconceptions that need to be should be cleared up.
clear it up. Yeah, because if you as an artist or performer go in going, I did it, but you just, you have no brand, you're not doing your job. You should be building your brand. Because then you don't have to demand a certain amount of money. The venue's going,
Like, here you go.
yeah, oh, we want you to perform. Oh, you want me to perform? It's going to cost this much money. But if you go to a venue and go, hey, I'd love to perform here, it's going to cost this much money. You're dealing with the wrong person. And also, if someone does reach out to you, but it's like a local club and they're like, hey, we're looking for 3 comedians or 3 bands or whatever, and you're like, I need $1,000. And they're like, yeah, okay, see you later. Like, know your worth.
Yeah.
If you could only guarantee, even though in your brain you're probably like, I can bring 6 to people. Know your worth. We used to keep track of how many people showed up to shows, and we would, it's business. You got to keep track of your, numeric analytics. How much does it cost for this show? How much for traveling gas? How much rehearsal do we put into this show? Your expenses, your overhead, your what?
Your Evo.
You're in utero. Oh. Your Evo. That's fine.
Anyway,
That's
we
it.
don't make this stuff up.
No, I know I don't make this stuff up. I know
The dog sometimes makes it up.
What? First I'm hearing that.
Anyway, this has been Thomas J. Beleza sitting across the table from me.
Yeah, and this is John. See, it's not fun. See, remember last week? You're like, this is Tom Beleza. Just sit a whole night. See? I know he said it this week, but I figured I'd try to give him a little taste of his own
I'm
medicine.
blinking loudly.
How did that feel?
Weird.
Weird, right? Yeah.
Oh, John.
John. See, no, but anyway. So, what's your name? Tim. Slow talk Tim over here. JD McGimney, everybody. You can check him out at altani.com.
You can check out Thomas at allwingtodragons.com.
Yeah. And if you can't spell any of that, just try and make a right left you. Now, BBR Productions is our production company. Check that out if you're bored out of your head. We have the film festival going on all of October.
We're going to have some interviews with all of the people, all the contestants coming up this month.
We're going to try to make this an annual thing. So, how well this goes, we might do it again next year.
Hopefully next year, depending on how the COVID thing is put together. Or not really.
Like a physical screening.
Yeah, which would be really nice.
That would be nice. But so we're going to
Just
try.
don't, like in the door.
Yeah, just to keep a mind open. If it does go well, September is where we do the submissions to watch the bullshit. Is this September?
No, August is.
August is submissions. September is admissions, like where we go, like this one. And then October will be the actual screenings and stuff like that. But we're going to do it all online, so you'll be able to
Do it in your pajamas.
do it in your pajamas. Boop, 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 boop. But anyway, what's nice is the winner of the festival gets a development deal. So that's pretty exciting.
He develops them.
Yeah, we're going to be like, hey, I like this. Do you like this? And be like, I like this. Great. I like that. Change this.
Develop.
This is good. This is very good.
I think it's dinner time.
What? It is dinner time. What time is it? 5? It's 5 o'clock here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Woo!
withering away.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Here.
It's right now.
Yes.
I gotta go.
When?
I don't know. I don't make this stuff up.
Good night, everybody.
First I'm hearing about it.
And
That's it.
woo! Oh god, my ears are so sweaty.
We gotta figure out what that noise is, sir.
Whatever you did with clicking that switch, stop.
I clicked it a couple times.
You gotta figure out what it is now. I think it is your microphone
I don't believe it is because I had taken this out and it was still continuing. So it couldn't have been the microphone.
then it has to be something to do with phantom power, I think.
I don't think so.
I know you don't think so, but I do. And that is why we need to sit down and figure it out, because we haven't come to a conclusion, an agreement as to what it is.
You know, I know you.
Up.
Oh!
Steve! Grandma. So you come out. You come out.
You come out tomorrow.
So that is saved. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba.
Ooh, baby, I love you. Ooh. Every day. Ooh, baby, I love you. Oh, yeah. Where in the world is
Garmin San Diego.
Turn off the cameras.
Close that.
Hit the red button.
Bye. Oh man, that was fun.
Maybe you. Oh God, what are we doing for dindins?
I don't know.
Oh, we had something on here. What's going on? Hey. Oh, you agreed. Hello, bro.
Hi. No, we're gonna not put everything back up because we have to do all of our cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, you want to close this?
Yeah, we'll close it.
Close it out.
Have a wonderful day and a good night, and thanks for hanging out.
Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Where's the end button? Here's the end button. Boop. And